confused, aren't you? Frightened. That's all right. I can help you.
Alone in a dark room, a guy gets a mysterious phone call and has to run before pale men in suits attack him. Although it sounds like a Matrix knockoff, it might surprise you to know that Dark City premiered in 1998, 1 year earlier than the Wachowskis' sci-fi masterpiece. In fact, there's a third film-noir-influenced virtual reality movie released around the same time, the pretty forgettable 13th Floor, but Dark City stands out from the other two in its metaphysical nature and stunning production design. John Murdoch, Rufus Sewell, wakes up in a bathtub with a brutally murdered woman nearby. He can't remember anything about his past, not even his own name, but he's sure that he didn't commit the crime. Bewildered and pursued, he escapes into the titular city.
Good evening, Mr. Murdoch. It was Mr. Murdoch, isn't it?
The unnamed city is perpetually shrouded in night. This isn't just a stylistic choice. No one can seem to remember the last time they saw daylight.
That clock's kept perfect time since I bought it.
AM or PM?
What do you think, Johnny?
I don't understand. How can it be night already? What happened in the day? How'd I miss it?
As John explores the city, walking its curiously unpopulated streets, its bizarre geography unfolds. Realised through a mix of miniatures, soundstage sets, and real-world locations, the city is a triumph of production design. Period features abound, notably the anonymous automat, which was a real short-lived diner concept popular in 1940s America. Retail murals and buzzing neon lights complete the film noir callback references. But there's stranger touches. A canal in the middle of the city, an Art Deco bathhouse, and the idyllic Shell Beach, apparently within driving distance, although no one seems to know quite how to get there.
You happen to know the way to Shell Beach?
You're kidding. Me and the missus spent our honeymoon there.
All you gotta do is take Main Street West to...
This mismatch of locations, along with the artificially stylized production design, is your first clue as a viewer that something is off. And the city isn't the only thing that feels not quite itself. As John exits his hotel, he briefly meets the manager.
Only thing makes you a guest in this joint, pal, is cash on the barrelhead.
Later, when police arrive to investigate, the manager is a completely different man who nevertheless spouts the same cliches.
I told a guy, cash on the barrelhead.
Identities appear to be malleable in the city. Perhaps John's hunch is on the money.
Where's our lucky winner?
Upstairs, sir. Room 614. How'd the call go?
J. Murdoch.
Investigating the apparent murder spree is Inspector Frank Bumstead, whose predecessor has gone mad, spouting conspiracy theories about those really in control.
I'm being punished for my sins, right?
Now, if you watch the theatrical cut, most of this is revealed in a terribly misguided opening voiceover. The much better director's cut keeps the mystery, stringing along the viewer who by now has met these mysterious pale men who really run the city. A trio of them pursue John, led by Mr. Hand, a game Richard O'Brien. As the clock strikes midnight, the city comes to a grinding halt. Outstep the pale men, and they begin to rework reality. Buildings bend and twist as tenement housing lengthens out and ceilings raise to become mansions. The lackey of these pale men is Dr. Schreiber, who injects unknowing individuals with fresh memories and personalities. It's a stunning sequence, the most original of Dark City's many ideas, and was in fact the inspiration behind the whole film. Director Alex Proyas dreamt up the story while working on his previous movie, The Crow. After filming had ended, he stood on set and watched the sets around him being deconstructed. Building facades pulling back, stories being ripped apart and reintegrated into something else. It's a potent image. Despite its surface gloss, Dark City's performances can feel arch and mannered. In a sense, it's a story we've been told before. Wronged man goes on the run, pursued by baddies, his conflicted wife stuck in the middle. As Proyas reveals the central plot twist, this familiarity is turned on its head. The characters we see on screen are creations of Mr. Hand and his ilk. They lack any sort of creativity, hence their monosyllabic common noun names. No wonder they can't come up with fresh characters. That John, his wife, and Bumstead match up exactly to film noir archetypes is no coincidence. These characters are regurgitated human stories, pieced together and inauthentic to those performing them. Viewed through this lens, Dark City's bizarrely mannered first half becomes a masterclass in misdirection, and one that provokes a number of metatextual questions. I've always personally been drawn to William Hurt's strangely melancholic performance as Bumstead. Driven to investigate by his programming, the slowly dawning realization that his entire existence is predetermined is crushing.
Do you think about the past much, Mrs. Murdoch?
What's happening, Inspector?
I'm not sure I know anymore.
The quieter moments of the film contain a creeping horror, even existential despair, as characters struggle with an internal disquiet, the feeling that their lives are not their own.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Which isn't to say that Dark City is a seriously philosophical film. It's interested in those ideas in the same way The Matrix is interested in its solipsism or in its Christ allegory. It's an excuse to showcase cool stuff. But the latter spends much of its screen time on pop philosophy, whereas Dark City is content to let its ideas breathe. Critically ignored on its initial release, it owes much of its popularity to enthusiastic audience response and the championing of a few select critics, like Roger Ebert, who declared it to be his favourite movie of 1998. In fact, most releases of the film include a commentary track by Ebert, just one of 6 movies to receive that honour, alongside classics like Casablanca and Citizen Kane. High praise indeed for a movie that many write off as a Matrix clone.